Know how to sell their home as fast as possible. I'm Charlie, welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming. Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same. It is a massive mistake, and it's a mistake that will cost you money, not the agents. Your clients are free to just walk away.
All our clients tonight could watch this and say, take my house off the market.
You need to find the least terrible estate agent. But here's my advice on how to price when you're renegotiating. There's nothing else you need. If you've got this 150 quid, that's it, you can move in.
Oh, mate. Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live stream with Moving Home with Charlie. I'm Charlie Lambden, and this evening we are wrapping up the news of the 2022 housing market. What's happened? It's been a hell of a 6 months. We're going to just touch on today Bloomberg's article today about how far will UK house prices fall, and I then want to go through a message I've had from a Twitter follower today, who is a seller with a dilemma, who's asked me for some advice and who's told me that I can share his story with you because I think it's actually relevant for both sellers and buyers. But forgive me, it's 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock as usual. So I've had 1 hour less to prepare for this. And by the way, don't think that I've had people say, Charlie, do you just always drink Guinness? Pretty much only if it's a live stream. So, you're talking about once or twice a week I have a Guinness. It's nice to have them in. But cheers, anyone else who's got a drink on the go this evening. And the reason I have to start at 7 o'clock this evening, not 8 o'clock, is because Anne-Marie, my other half, mother of my kids, has said that at 8 o'clock on the dot, she is going to start watching season 3 of Jack Ryan on Amazon. And it's really good if you haven't seen it. It's seasons 1 and 2 are fantastic. John Krasinski, the guy from The Office, is playing a spy hero, Jack Ryan, and I'm looking forward to watching that. So I just have a quick couple of hellos before I get started this evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Regina. By the way, Regina, I've got no idea who you are, but you've been so helpful in other live streams that I've actually made you what's it called, like an administrator, so you can block people. So we get any of those idiots in the comments and you're there and you want to just deal with them for me, that would be fantastic. That's obviously only if people are making inappropriate personal remarks. Now, does this picture look better quality than usual? I'd like to know during the live stream. Is this a better quality live stream picture than usual? If so, it is because I'm using that feature where you can get your iMac to use your iPhone's camera as the web camera. So hopefully, brilliant. Thank you, David McKenzie. Hello, Annie Anonymous. Hello, Sean Forge. Hi, Catherine. Visual Ghoul. Hi, guys. Glad it's better quality. Cheers, everybody, and welcome back. I'm hoping it's going to be fun, but I have got to finish on time, all right? I keep looking in the wrong place. I keep looking at the IMAX webcam, but actually I have to look at you guys there. Now, what we are not going to do on this evening's live stream is to talk about 2023 because, we'll touch on it a tiny bit, but we're going to leave talking about 2023 until we get into 2023 because I want to have a cheerful Christmas and holiday season, and I don't really want to go into what that's looking like. I am planning to do my own sort of 2023 housing market forecast. Note that I say house market forecast, not house price forecast. And I'm planning to get that published before the end of the year. I have recorded one other video for sellers that I'm going to publish tomorrow, which is for people who are selling to buy. And it's about the pros and cons of selling and buying simultaneously versus selling where you live now, moving out, completing, finding somewhere temporary to live, and then buying your next place at 2 separate transactions rather than simultaneous ones. So that video is going to be published tomorrow. But let me just begin. Okay, I have to hide you guys because otherwise I'll get distracted by your comments. let me begin by quickly recapping this year. And I'd like to start with this. I do not consider myself a forecaster of house prices, okay? 90% of the time, house prices are generally going up, and the forecast is how fast and how high are they going up. And I never get involved with that. I think it's frankly irrelevant unless you're an investor, and I'm not here for investors. I'm only here for home movers. But I found myself embroiled in the house price forecasting political shit fight, pretty much what it is, because I basically called what I could see happening. And this, so let's just recap. And for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you very much for subscribing. 9,100 subscribers on YouTube, I think. So approaching 10,000, which is just amazing because 6 months ago, this YouTube channel had 250 subscribers. And then it sort of quite quickly got to 1,000, which blew my mind away. I did a whole video about going over 1,000. And now we've passed 9,000. And I'm really quite I'm proud of it. I'm proud that the information I've got to share is of value to you. And thank you to all those of you who've sent me feedback telling me how helpful it's been. That really is, it's like fuel in my tank. Every time I get feedback saying, thank you, your videos have helped. They've helped us make a decision. It really does spur me on to keep going. So thank you very much to you guys. But back in February of 2022, so 10 months ago, I did a video that's in my YouTube channel. I haven't linked it. I should have linked it below, but this is relevant to the whole house pricing forecast discussion because I made an observation. I said, I think we might have just seen the very earliest signs of house prices stopping going up and starting to come down. And that was based on my involvement in the industry at the time, but it was the very earliest signs. And it was just things like properties that you would normally expect to have just flown off the shelf within a couple of weeks were sticking around for a couple of months. You know, nothing wrong with them. And that was starting to happen. It's like, no, it was too early to call anything on house prices, but you could tell that the demand had peaked in February 2022. And that was obvious. And then in May, I've linked to a video in the description below this if you're watching on YouTube. I did a video on my Best Agent channel, which is my YouTube channel just for estate agents, where I actually I called it sounding the alarm bell. That there is a house price crash coming, guys. And this was just intended for agents to give them the heads up so that they could prepare their businesses accordingly. And despite working with agents for 20-something years, the reaction really surprised me. So in May, the reaction to that video of me saying, guys, house prices are going to fall, I don't have many subscribers on that channel, was just tumbleweed. It's got nothing. It's got this sort of eerie silence. I've got a couple of people on LinkedIn saying to me, yeah, I think you're right, Charlie, and we're already adjusting our estate agency business accordingly in preparation for that. But it was just one or two people saying that to me. They were good agents. And I thought, oh, this is curious. And then it was quiet. And then in August, I did a video that is what really sparked the growth of my channel, entitled 8 Reasons UK House Prices Will Collapse. And again, remember the context. I don't consider myself a house price forecaster. And in my mind, it was an almost obvious they can't not collapse. And I laid out the 8 reasons why. And I made a couple of errors in that, which I corrected in a subsequent video a month later in September, which was 10 reasons why house prices are falling. And they were already falling. And I know the data is now supported with the 6-month time lag baked in. We've now got official house price data confirming that house prices have at best peaked and at worst have actually begun falling. But the thing that really got me thinking was, why am I getting such a bizarre pushback from estate agents? Because surely as long as people are still moving, you don't care whether house prices are going up or down, right? If you're a good estate agent, you're there to help people move house, not to make the property market go up. And I know a lot of people think that estate agents are the ones who've made the market go up. They haven't. I mean, they may have helped it slightly, but estate agents do not control house prices, I can assure you. I can assure you they don't control house prices. So, yeah, that was, so February, the video calling the earliest signs. May, called it saying it's going to happen. August, did the video about 8 reasons why it's going to happen in September, 10 reasons why it is happening. And yeah, back then I was just roundly laughed at and mocked and scoffed at as if I was some kind of lunatic. But the question that's arisen is, what was I looking at differently? Because I'm not the only one in this industry with access to the data that I've got access to, okay? There are plenty of others. What was I doing differently that others weren't? Because even people I normally agree with in the industry were actually getting quite defensive and cross and telling me to shut up and stop talking the market down. And first of all, no one has the power to talk the market down, I don't think. And secondly, I thought to myself, these were agents who were normally quite considered and careful in their approach, and they were really reacting quite badly. And if we just disregard for one moment the sort of the least professional, the most amateur agents out there who are only really in business because of what happened after the pandemic, house prices doing that, and basically anybody could sell a house. And they've never known anything different, and therefore they're the ones that just keep calling going up because they don't know any different. We'll disregard those, okay? They're obviously going to be in big trouble, those guys. But the long story short is, I've been asking myself, why have people had such strongly different views to me? Because there are those of you watching this channel, and I know because you messaged me, who are equally sort of analytical in your approach, and you don't have a preformed opinion. You go out there and you look at all the data and you form your opinion. And a lot of you have actually said, "Oh, Charlie, I'm interested. I'm curious. I'm hearing what you say, but I don't see it yet." And that's been a really interesting debate. And some of you have said, "Yeah, I can totally believe it's happening. It's been a matter of time. It was definitely coming." Then all of the people who went, "No, you're wrong. You're an idiot," haven't offered any argument as to why, other than supply and demand. There's a shortage, and because there's a shortage, house prices go up. And even when I say, what about the cost of finance, like soaring? What about the number of mortgage products come off the shelf? I mean, that is supply of finance. The cost and the supply of finance is being, oh, no. And they were just this sort of totally unscientific approach to it. And yeah, it's a well-documented human behavioral trait that we believe what we want to believe. And if you don't have the time, and my God, it's time consuming. If you don't have the time to sort of take a long-term, wide view of the economy and the housing market, and you don't decide, which I do, I just do it for lots of reasons, but then I suppose, to be fair, you wouldn't see it coming in the same way. And if you couple that with the fact that we believe what we want to believe, and it's, even back in August and September, there were still people saying, no, house prices are still rising. Remember me doing those videos about how year on year house price rise doesn't mean they haven't started falling, because 1 point a year ago to a point now is a fairly arbitrary measurement, and they have been falling for a while. And I did that. And so there was this period when people were going, no, Charlie, no, you're wrong. They're still going up. The headlines are saying they're going up. The Bank of England says they're going up. ONS says they're going up. You're just an idiot. You're wrong. And so I've been curious. I've tried to sort of be self-critical about my own analysis, and my view is this: I think if you come into any major question with presupposed ideas or a preformed bias, well, you're never going to have an accurate or objective or impartial analysis. You're going to be a victim of your own confirmation bias, a victim of your own believing what I want to believe, which is, again, it's just a human trait. And so, but at the same time, I also accept that to actually, when it comes to the housing market, because the housing market is so liquid, it's so fluid, it's not concrete, it's not regimented, it's a very, very constantly moving feast. I mean, I know because we're analyzing the data of over 1 million properties constantly, and it's like this big, constantly shifting feast. And then when you factor in the time delays of people who think they're coming to the market, and the people who do come to the market, and then when the property is actually, a sale price is agreed, and then when it's finally exchanged, I mean, that's a long 4 different stages. And so when we talk about house prices, what are we actually talking about? Which stage are we talking about? And people's expectations, and then the time delay in reporting, and all of that. It is a massive moving feast. So the point of saying all that is that I don't judge or criticize anybody who hasn't had time to sort of get up to their neck in that overall big picture macroeconomic view of the data. Both, not just macro in terms of wide across the country and everything else, but also in time, going back 10, 20 years, because this is the point I wanted to make in this video. What we are experiencing now in the economy and in the housing market is a direct result of bank regulation, bank deregulation policy that led to the financial crisis in 2008, which was a banking liquidity crisis. And then the government reactions to that, to prop the banks up and to bail them out, and then to prop up and bail out the economy, followed up with quantitative easing. And those of you who have said, oh, there's been idiots predicting house price crashes for years. Well, there is a reason. And what all of those people, including myself, know is that government policy and fiscal policy and economic policy that's been happening since 2008 was mathematically unsustainable. It simply cannot go on forever. And what no one's been able to predict is when this bubble would burst. And it is a bubble because house prices have been artificially inflated by close to £1 trillion of quantitative easing, coupled with close to zero interest rates, meaning that it's incredibly cheap and therefore incredibly affordable, as in more affordable than usual, to borrow large sums of money to buy a home. And why wouldn't you? I don't blame anyone for doing that. But unfortunately, gravity, it's effectively financial gravity we're talking about here. It's always eventually going to win. No matter how much you keep knocking it up in the air, eventually it's going to come back down and the gravity is going to overwhelm you. That is what we're witnessing here. If you're someone, I don't know, let's say, if you don't remember the 2008 crash because you're too young, then it's, what's happening there is going to be bewildering. But if you look back over the long term, it was a mathematical inevitability. Now, house prices would have crashed during the pandemic had the government not stepped in to prop them up. And what happened was huge amounts of furlough money and bounce back money, huge quantities of cash pumped into the economy on top of quantitative easing, right? At the same time as there was a stamp duty holiday. Talk about panic measures. These were panic measures by the government when the stamp duty holiday came in. And that created, on top of the last 14, 15 years of pushing stuff up, it was an even sharper, and we saw the sharpest house price increases, I don't know, in a very long time. It was in some areas of the country, year on year to May was like 20% house price increases. Just like anyone knows that that's unsustainable. And so here we are. We are on the timing scale, government reported house prices have flatlined. Okay. But at the coalface of what's happening, so more recently we've had the Halifax and the Nationwide both giving us 3 months of falling house prices, which is not quite as delayed as the completion prices, which is a mistake I made in a previous video, by the way. By the way, I just want to double check, can everybody hear me okay? And we will get to questions at the end of this, by the way. Can anyone just let me know if you can hear me okay? Because sometimes you guys tell me that you can't hear me okay. My microphone might be a bit far away. Yes, cool. Okay, great. So here we are. And let's just come on to, just for the last point on this before we go on to the Bloomberg story, is that as an individual home mover, national house prices are irrelevant. Regional house prices are irrelevant. Average house prices are irrelevant. In the end, it only matters what you pay for the property that you're moving into, or what you sell your property for. And every individual property is a unique story in its own right. And two identical properties next to each other being sold at the same time can fetch significantly different prices for reasons to do with the seller situation and the buyer situation, even if the properties are identically desirable. All right. So It's good to know what the overall direction of travel is. But again, even regionally, it's going to be very different from the national average. But ultimately, if you're looking to buy, my message to everyone is, by all means, buy now. If you found a home that's within your budget and you want to move, owning a home is a wonderful thing to do. Buy now, but just don't overpay. Okay, calculating how not to overpay is where house price and economic analysis comes in, because the economy is going to affect house prices. So, I'll take a quick question. Any questions on what I've said so far? There's lots of chat happening, I've seen. But does anyone have a question on anything I've said so far? Quick scroll. Lots of you chatting with each other. No questions. Okay. The only question I've got is from 30 Seconds Stomach. I like your jumper. Where's it from? I bought it 2 years ago, and honestly, I can't remember where it's from. But thank you very much. Honest answer. Can't remember where it is. Can't remember where it's from. Right. I am now going to share with you today's Bloomberg story, just briefly for a minute or two, before we get on to the third part of the video, which is this seller's dilemma, this real life seller situation. So let's share. Let's see if we can get that sharing like that. So today, I'm not going to read the whole article, and I've linked to this article in below the video. Wherever I've been able to put comments, you'll see a link to this article. UK house prices set to drop 10% or more. Well, that's pretty non-committal, isn't it? So you could also word that as UK house prices set to drop at least 10% in 2023. Now, immediately got questions here, which is, all right, what do you mean? Do you mean 10% 12 months from now? Do you mean 10% between January? Do you mean 10% based on ONS figures for December 2022 versus December next year? Because with the time lag, the full effect of price falls next year won't actually feed through until about May or June 2024. So even this article is fairly, it's fairly vague, drop 10% or more in 2023. But let's just have a look at, just checking you can see this okay. What they are saying is that they don't think it's going to be as bad as the financial crisis. Well, I disagree with that for two reasons. Number one, there wasn't an energy crisis in 2008, eating up everyone's disposable income. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I know that they're sort of related. We weren't going into a recession of the sort that we are now with very high inflation. All right. And I think it's a mistake to compare it because, I mean, nothing about 2008 was worse than what we're facing now, in my view and in my memory. So I think it's got to be at least as bad as 2008. At least. In 2008, we had not had 14 years of quantitative easing to unravel, which has stopped, by the way. Remember that. So that stimulus of printing money has stopped. In fact, they started it just after that. So I find this, I mean, they do mention that chap John Stepek's article where he says declines of 30% aren't out of the question. And John and I talk on Twitter, and they list all of the UK house price forecasts there from lots of different people, including Rightmove. Look at that. Rightmove's house price forecasts are just 2% next year, down 2%. So they range from 10%, lots of round figure 10%, a weirdly specific 8.4% from Oxford Economics, 8% Halifax, 5% nationwide. That was today. I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that nobody has a clue, right? Nobody has a clue, including me. But let me just recap on my views. I'm saying that from the peak of house prices, which were being agreed in May 2022, but didn't get reported until November, December 2022. So in terms of reporting, it is going to be what's being reported now. We're at peak house price reporting now, right? To whenever the bottom is, and I think the bottom will take 18 to 24 months to reach. So if we're talking about reported prices, then we're talking about June or December, between June and December 2024. 35% as a national average is my rough guess. Okay, my best guess based on everything I know. I'm not saying that I am right. I am not saying that that is an accurate prediction. I'm saying that that is my best guess, and it remains my best guess. And in the video when I talk about 2023 prices, I'll go into more detail about why. But I'm just putting, I'm putting that down there. That's what I think, and that's what I feel. All right. But for this video, I'm not going to go much into house prices much more. I'd like to get on to the third and final point before we take some questions, which is that I've had someone on Twitter ask me the following question. So let me just bring it up on the screen. Okay, this bears reading in detail, okay, because it affects, if you're a seller watching this, you need to think about this. And if you're a buyer, it's very good to know what a seller's mindset is. And there are a few points in here that I want to pick up on. So just bear with me as I read this out, okay? I'm curious to know the benefits or drawbacks of price reduction after receiving imperfect offers after a short time on the market. So we've got a seller here who's been on the market for a short time, had some imperfect offers, and wants to know about the benefits or the drawbacks of reducing your price publicly. We had a 3-month gap between estate agents coming round and signing up, in other words, putting it on the market. We found after a while that the estate agent we liked had left the independent company. So he's on with an independent estate agent. Now, this is point number one I want to make, right? They signed up with that estate agent because of the person that they liked, and that person has left. Okay. Now, this is the whole way about how Best Agent Finder works. It's designed to sidestep the brand and focus on the individuals. And this is why, because people should always go for the individual they've chosen. This is bad news, right? The person that they signed up for has left the company. They now have 2 offers. One near asking, but they need to sell. And I can reveal, because he told me in a later message, that their estate agent has done some homework to find out if that buyer's property is getting anywhere with the sale, and it's not. So it's near asking price offer, but they haven't sold their property, so they're not actually in a proceedable position. And another at 10% below asking price from an investor with no chain. Neither are brilliant. The estate agent sees interest drying up. Okay, interesting. The estate agent is actually, I interpret that as the agent saying, the interest is going to be getting less, not more. And he wants to bump it up the Rightmove listing. Now, that is a whole phrase that needs to be unpicked on itself. Bump up Rightmove listing by reducing by approximately 3% and going to offers over. Okay. I want to unpick that, but let me just finish reading his message first. He says, I think this may read as, so in other words, he thinks that reducing the price by 3% might come across publicly as, number one, he's desperate, or it's a problem property because it's only been on for 4 weeks, and lead to further cheeky offers rather than higher offers. Or number two, it's an invite for the current high offer to reduce, even though they're still not proceedable. But number three, if they then go with another agent later, having reduced the price with this agent, then the new price is anchored and we can't go to the previous price because it'll be spotted by savvy buyers. So we're considering staying on the current price and changing the agent if no traction over the New Year bounce. That needs to be unpicked. not confident in their ability on attracting and handling a bidding war. Okay, so interesting stuff, right? Interesting stuff. I'm going to start by saying this. I answered him. I've already given him my response, and I'll just start by giving my response to him, which is this. I said, look, the judgment calls that need to be made now to answer all of your very good questions need to be made by someone who knows your market really well and knows how to get a property sold in your market, which is clearly not the agent that you're with. Okay, so number one, with the wrong agent. Okay, so for anyone who thinks that choosing an agent is pick three at random and hire the one with the cheapest fees, right, that is a massive mistake, and you're seeing them. This is an example of that mistake having been made. I don't know why he chose this agent. He says he likes the guy, so I can't make any judgment on his choice of agent. Okay, other than he said he chose it because of a specific guy that they liked or a person that they liked, but that person's left. So to everybody who's ever thought, oh, estate agency is easy, you just chuck in a Rightmove and open the door and wait for the offers. I now hope that you know why that is at best, fantastically naive opinion. I mean, yes, there are certain markets when it can happen like that, but even in those markets, it doesn't make sense to go with one of those agents, right? At best, it's a naive opinion. And at worst, it's a life-changingly bad opinion if you then need to sell your house and that's your opinion. You've got to understand that when you need to move house and you're selling, there is no bigger decision than your choice of agent. There is no bigger decision. If you need to move and you want to move and you've committed to move, none of the other decisions you will make will be more important than the agent that you choose at the beginning. All right? So what this seller needs is to find, and it won't be easy, and I said to him, you need to start ringing around agents. You start calling up the agents, right? Just to see how well you're handled on the phone, and just start ringing around and asking for their advice. Until you find one that clearly has the knowledge and expertise of your local market and knows how to get properties sold in a falling market. Okay, that's what I would do in that situation. I would leave no stone unturned in the hunt for the agent that could actually get my property sold. Now, another reason why I think he chose the wrong agent was because they didn't have buyers. Okay, so he's got two offers. Fair enough, right? That's not bad. In this market, that's not bad. But one of the offers, if it's from a buyer that hasn't sold their place they're moving out of, obviously that's not proceedable at this point. The other one is 10% below. So his options are accept that 10% below asking price offer, which he hasn't referred to as an option here, okay? But I would be seriously considering that. And the reason I'd be considering it is I'd be thinking to myself, what if I wait and then I wish I'd accepted that offer? Right? What would be a bigger mistake? Accepting the offer now and thinking, oh, I could have got a few percent more, or holding out for more money, not getting it, the market falls away. Can you see? And I don't know the answer to that question, right? It's a personal choice based on, I don't know what his motivation for moving is. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm saying he. I don't know if it's a he or a she. I've got no idea. I haven't got the person's name. But these are all massively important decisions to make. So if you are a buyer, this is an interesting insight as to what sellers are going through right now. And this is a real dilemma he's got. He's got a 10% offer from a proceedable investor. Personally, without knowing all the other circumstances, I would be taking that investor's hands off for this value of the certainty of getting the transaction done. Assuming he needs to move, I would be, and assuming he's a he, I would be taking that offer. I would be taking that offer. But if he can't or won't or whatever reason, then the choice he's got left with is, do I stay with my existing agent and drop the price? Or do I move agent and start again? Now, neither is an ideal scenario. Now, the reason that the estate agent wants to publish a reduced price is because Rightmove then resends out a bunch of emails, which, by the way, also implies that this agent is not very good, because if they're relying on if they're relying on a Rightmove bump, which is change the price by more than, I think you've got to change it by more than 2% in order to trigger this. Change it by more than 2%, that bumps emails out to all the registered buyers looking in that area with that budget. That's just lazy and sloppy, and I think it's a bit too hopeful. It's a bit of sort of desperate strategy. So I don't think that necessarily dropping the asking price of the existing agent is right, especially if he's lost faith in that existing agent. I think I wouldn't be making any decisions until I'd found an agent that I trusted who said to me, this is what you... I mean, one of those agents might turn around and say, you got an offer for 10% below asking? Take it. If another agent tells them to do that at the expense of getting themselves a fee, I mean, then you know that you want to take that advice, right? But if another agent said, look, I reckon we can get you, let's say, 5 or 6% below your current asking price, so you haven't got to accept that 10% offer, and here's how, well, there's always the risk that that agent is just talking it up to get the instruction. But this is what I mean. You know when you find one that isn't talking it up. I mean, it's very difficult to judge. And I've got friends who've made the mistake of thinking, look, I've met an agent, I love them, I think they're fantastic. They're telling me this, they're telling me that. And I said, they're telling you what you want to hear. I said, it sounds to me like it's just a great pitch, but actually they're not going to come through. And they didn't. So let me finish on this point here. And if you've got questions on this, by all means, put them in the comments now, and I'll take questions on this. Let me finish with this point here, which I've now forgotten because I lost my train of thought. Rely on the Guinness to get me there. If there's any doubt that you've met the right agent, then there's no doubt you haven't met the right agent. When you meet the right one, you'll know it. There won't be any doubt. You'll be certain. You'll be like, this is someone who has demonstrated a level of expertise, professionalism, knowledge, and experience that I haven't come across anywhere else. And I feel confidence in them. I trust them. I feel like I can delegate the task of getting my house sold to this person, and they will get it done. All right. Now, who's got time to keep going around lots and lots and lots and lots of agents? Well, none of us have. But if selling your house for a required price is important, then I'm afraid there isn't a shortcut until you find that agent. Obviously, best agent. The whole point of the best agent finder is to solve this problem. Is to make it easier. In one go, you can. And by the way, guys, if any of you watching this decide to use Best Agent to find an agent, we've now made it so that you can actually record a personal, private video message that will go out to the 20 local agents. Your contact details don't go out. You won't get spammed to death by them. They haven't got your phone number or your email address. But that video will really help them know if they're the right agent to help you or not. So don't give out any personal details if you record that video. But do give your situation. Give as much background to the story of your move as you can. When you use Best Agent to go find an agent, it'll go out to 20 agents, and it will improve the chances of an agent responding, hopefully with a video message themselves, to introduce themselves for them to say to you, I know that I'm your guy or your girl. All right, guys. So any questions on this? No questions on the estate agent. Okay. In which case, do you guys have any other questions? Is the seller locked in? Good question, Gavin Ward. I don't, based on the sound of things, and also independent agents are less likely to lock you in. I'm assuming the seller is not locked in, but I don't know that. But I am now ready for your questions, guys. So, oh, this is such a good question from Nick Jones. How can estate agents improve their image? If 90% are no good, and do you think, how can estate agents improve their image if 90% are no good? And do you think big estate agent chains are better than local ones? Right. Question number one. I'm not saying 90% are no good. I'm saying 85%. No, okay, sorry. I'm saying 15% are outstandingly good. 15% are outstanding. And it's not that hard to find. That's 3 in 20 agents are really outstandingly good. And those are the 3 you've got to find. About another 35%, so taking it to 50%, are better than average, but still in what I would call the average category, right? And there are ways in which they can improve that I'm hoping Best Agent will actually help them improve. But the problem is, whilst estate agents are all gouging each other's eyes out to win your instructions and pouring all of their money into this thing called lead gen, which just ends up with people inquiring with the wrong agents, they have no interest in collectively. There have been multiple attempts to collectively improve the image of estate agents, and they've always failed because there are other agents out there that actually, the narrative that agents are not to be trusted and are bad helps some agents. Okay, so and it helps the bigger ones, because the narrative of the dodgy small estate agent tends to make people go towards the bigger ones when there's actually absolutely no evidence whatsoever that larger agents are safer than smaller ones. In fact, the evidence that I'm working on will prove, without naming any names, that actually the large corporate agents have a higher fall-through rate of properties than smaller independents do. Which brings me on, Nick Jones, to your next question is, do I think big estate agent chains are better than local ones? On average, no. On average, an owner-managed independent independent estate agent with their name above the door, who's got personal reputation to lose, and has got more to lose by not getting your property sold than a corporate one, will go to greater lengths to get your property sold than large corporates. But that is a generalization, and there are always exceptions. All right? It really is. Sometimes, if the individual managing a branch of a big corporate national chain is the best guy, then that's the guy you should use. And there are so many small agents who are shockingly bad and shouldn't be in business and still manage to get business by using lead gen gimmicks that make them look better than they are. Right. Great question, David Hewitt. Any tips on the offer email content? Yes, I do have tips on the offer email content. I've done a video on this, I think. I can't remember. So many videos, I lost count. When you make your offer in an email, my opinion is that you never start off at a lower price expecting to go up. Just never do that. For reasons I won't go into now, the risks of you end up overpaying or losing out the deal are greater than if you go in with what you know is your maximum comfortable price. By that, I mean the price you know you cannot and will not go higher than. Might you have got it for a few thousand less? Possibly, but you then risk losing it. If you want to secure a home to live in, this does not apply to people making investment offers, but if you are offering on a home because you want to live in it, it is a false economy to try and save a few thousand quid and then lose the home when actually you would have paid that few thousand quid to secure it, which is why I always say make a maximum comfortable offer. You can then say in the email the following: this is the maximum amount I am comfortable paying for this property. If this offer is not acceptable, I will be respectfully walking away because I cannot pay more for this property than that. If I'm wrong, you'll find another buyer who will offer you more. If I'm right, you won't. This is the best offer you're going to get, and I hope your client will consider it. I don't expect the offer. I'm anticipating a rejection, but I'm hoping I will leave the offer on the table, and I'm hoping in time you'll reconsider if you don't accept the offer now. That is, in a nutshell, the vibe. And you do not need to explain your reasons. Oh, well, we think the market's coming down. Oh, we think this. Oh, you don't need to explain your reasons, right? Either the agent's got other higher offers, in which case yours will be rejected and you'll be ignored, or they haven't, in which case they cannot ignore your offer. Okay? So that's my tip on the email offer content. And just remember, make your offer, leave it there respectfully, and say, I understand this is a long way below your asking price, but that, with respect, is the best offer I can make on the property. Next question. Oh, lots of questions. What do I think of the banks becoming landlords? Also, are there lots of buy-to-let? Do you know something? I need to share with you the results of a survey that I did. Hold on a second. Answers this question. One moment. This is interesting. Let me share with you. I did a survey on YouTube. Here it is. Let me just get rid of myself off the screen. Now look at the results of that. So nearly 457 votes, and tenants, only 4% would prefer a bank or corporation as their landlord. Most people preferred a small private landlord, and only 13%. So first, small private landlord, second, government council, third, portfolio landlord. Now, I found that surprising. I wasn't surprised that a bank or corporation is not the popular offer, but I was surprised that people would choose a small private landlord over a professional portfolio private landlord, because in my experience, the professional portfolio private landlords are the ones who are quicker to respond to maintenance issues, because it's their business they're in. So they've got maintenance, they're up and running and ready to do maintenance faster. A lot of smaller private landlords, it depends, because there are many different kinds of small private landlord. And, if you're an accidental landlord, someone has fallen into it, had to rent out the house, or unexpectedly rented out your house because you are moving abroad for a job or something like that, you're not going to know what you're doing. And, you may or may not manage it through an agent, and the agent may or may not be any good. But the professional portfolio landlords, and I'm talking about people who've got 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 properties, it's their living. It's what they do for a living. And actually, in my experience, they tend to be better at resolving issues. And also, a professional portfolio landlord that doesn't go through a managing agent, so they manage the properties themselves. That would have been my choice on that one. But anyway, there we go. What do I think of banks becoming landlords? What does anyone think about the humanity of corporations? I think humanity and corporation are almost mutually exclusive concepts. So I don't know. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good if that happens, but who knows? We'll see. Oh, thank you, Gavin. Great question. I mentioned unpicking the seller, waiting for the Christmas bounce. Are you concerned that the seller's probably be diluted by the new rush of fresh property? Yes, supply. Yes, in a word, yes. So what there is every year is a bounce in the number of people going to Rightmove and Zoopla and looking at stuff. But that does not, as any of you who are seriously looking to buy know, it is a long and protracted process, right? And what you get on the Boxing Day bounce and the New Year's Day bounce is people who go, oh, maybe it's time to move. Let's go and have a look for the first time. And they're tire kickers at this stage. They may well become movers later on, but they're at the very, very beginning of their thinking about moving. And it's a sort of red herring. It's a misleading thing, this New Year's bounce. Yes, there's typically in normal times a reduction in buyer activity going to Christmas that comes back in the new year, but it doesn't sort of bounce way up high. Spring is traditionally the busiest time, but the busiest time doesn't mean it's the time people are going to be paying the most. Might you have more people competing over your property? In normal times, yes. But what I do think, to answer Gavin's question, is, do I think the seller's property will be diluted by the new year rush of fresh supply? Absolutely, yes. Next question. Oh, okay, I'm okay for time. Because I know Anne-Marie will start watching it without me. Okay, Greg Archer asks, when I speak about a fall of 30%, 35%, is this in real terms or nominal, i.e. with inflation at 10%? So I'm talking nominal. I'm talking 35% nominal. With inflation, that's even worse. All right. So nominal is excluding inflation, and real is including inflation, or is inflation adjusted. Will there be a fresh supply in the new year? Yes. Not immediately. You'll see a little bounce of new property coming on Boxing Day and in the new year, a little bit. But it's coming to the spring when you're going to see a lot more. What are my thoughts on Nationwide predicting 5% slump in house prices? I think that businesses like Nationwide, who are going to be very badly impacted by deep house price falls, are now doing whatever they can to mitigate the house price falls because it puts them at risk themselves of severe losses. That's my view. All right. That's my view. I actually see that as a panic move, that announcement today. By the way, I also want to express an opinion on the government announcing its extension of guaranteeing 95% loan to value mortgages for lenders. It's extended it by another 12 months. Now, if this means that more first-time buyers are able to get onto the housing ladder because they're able to get a mortgage only because the government is guaranteeing that mortgage, well, that's great for you if you're that first-time buyer, right? But it is yet more artificial inflating or artificial supporting of house prices, which in the long run benefits nobody, and it's at the taxpayer's risk. There's no such thing as government money, it's taxpayers' money. And it is the government saying that they are going to bail out defaulted mortgages, defaulted 95% mortgages, which are the most likely ones to get defaulted, with taxpayer money. I don't think it's a good thing. I just don't think it's a good thing. Good question here. King S on YouTube says, why do estate agents refuse to even acknowledge offers at guide price when the properties haven't even sold at the auction? If you've given an estate agent an offer in writing, they cannot not acknowledge it. They have to acknowledge it. They have to pass it on to the seller. If it's verbal, then they should still pass it on, but they'll get away with not passing it on. And by the way, there are two reasons why they do it. Okay, one of two reasons, possibly both. Number one, it's that sort of minority of the worst agents that genuinely think house prices are still going up, and genuinely think that the mainstream media is just scaremongering, and genuinely think that there isn't a house price crash happening, and genuinely think there's going to be a bounce of buyers in the new year. If you're a seller with one of those agents, I despair for you. I pity you. That's one reason, is that they actually, it's just, let's just call it pure ignorance, right? The other reason is that a lot of agents have won client business by looking clients in the eye and saying, there's not going to be a house price crash, I can sell your property, and believing it at the time. So that might go back a few months, right? And they don't want to have to pass on offers that are way below to their clients, because it's going to make them look incompetent and they're going to have a lot of explaining to do. Now, I get that, right? But put yourself in a human position, okay? You're one of those agents I referred to at the beginning of the video where you're not a macroeconomist, you're not a house price forecaster, you're someone that moves people. The mainstream media has not been reporting house prices as falling, so you have been taking on properties in good faith, believing that house prices are not going to fall. In good faith, right? You're not a bad agent. You just didn't see this coming, and now you've not got no offers for your client's property. So that's another reason that they do it. Stitchy B, good, fair question. Just so you can hold me to this, we're going to use the Office of National Statistics official house prices, factoring in the 6-month delay. So whether you want to call it the November or the December, so I'm pretty much now December 22. That just came out. Wherever the ONS house prices peak, that's the beginning of the 35% drop. And wherever ONS house prices finally trough before they start to come back up, that is going to be the bottom. That's the metric I'm using. All right, guys? Nick, I don't entirely understand your question there. What would I recommend if I'm a full equity seller, someone with that mortgage? So could you just clarify what you mean by that? Steve P. If most people look at Rightmove for houses to buy, what value add do estate agents provide? Okay. This is a great question. Okay, are there any first-time buyers out there who've been in the process for quite a long time who would agree with the following statement. If you are a serious buyer and you want to get accepted for viewings on properties, then you call the agents directly, you register with the agents, and you don't actually use Rightmove as your first port of call for finding out what's happening in the market, because you've made inquiries on properties and you've been told, oh, sorry, that one's gone and it's still there, or you don't get a response at all, right? Would you agree that if you're a serious mover, Rightmove is no longer your primary tool? Would you agree with that? You're actually now using the websites of the local estate agents listing the kind of properties that you want, or not? Or would you disagree with that? I'd like to know. So I can tell you, because one of the things that my estate agency CRM software does is that it imports all of the leads. So when you go to Rightmove or Zoopla or On the Market and you put in an inquiry and you register or you inquire on a property with any of those sites, the clients of mine that use my estate agency software, we automatically import those emails and process them and import them into their CRM database. So I get to, I get to hear and talk to a lot of agents about the quality of leads, and there's a reason that Rightmove's own figures are that 40% of inquiries that come through Rightmove go unanswered. And the reason for that is that lots of inquiries on Rightmove are people who late at night, they've had a few sherbets, they see it, they're on there and they just click the button because it's easy and they send an inquiry. And then and when the agent tries to contact them, they never respond, right? It's about the lowest quality inquiry you can get at the mainstream level of the market, right? It's not the same higher up the market, it's a bit different there, but the mainstream volume level of the market, it's just not, and none of them are, right? If you're a serious, and you're not considered as a serious buyer when you inquire via Rightmove by agents, right? Because it's just too easy. And the last couple of years, they've had so many people inquiring, so many buyers registering, that unless you're calling them direct to register, that you're just not serious enough for them. All right. So, but what value add do estate agents provide? Okay. Value add number one estate agents provide is they have a route to market for marketing a property. And a lot of estate agents don't even use Rightmove, right? Rightmove does not have all properties for sale. Some of them only use On the Market. Some of them only use Zoopla. So an estate agent, you shouldn't care about where they're marketing your property. As long as they get you competing buyers, do you care? No, you don't. So the value add that they provide is, if they are a really good estate agent, they will know exactly how to market your property, exactly where to market your property, and exactly when to market your property to get the kind of buyers that they know are most likely to come to your property competing against each other. Okay? Estate agents only use Rightmove because the public thinks that it's essential to be on Rightmove. And it's not. So many estate agents deeply resent the amount of money they have to pay Rightmove to be on there, because they know that if they're not on Rightmove, you won't choose them. And that is honestly often a mistake. It's nothing wrong with being on Rightmove, by all means be on Rightmove, but it's not a deciding factor. And I know that for a lot of sellers, it is a deciding, oh, well, if you're not on Rightmove, I'm not going to go with you. Well, the estate agent stands to lose more than you if they can't sell your house. So if they're confident that they don't need to be on Rightmove to sell your house, you don't need an estate agent that's on Rightmove. Right? You just... And you're going to see a lot of estate agents coming off Rightmove next year, because it is compared to the other sites, it is price gougingly expensive for estate agents. Except for the large corporations, you've got massive discounts, which is what tilts the whole playing field. So that's the point number one. Point number two, a really good agent will know exactly how to price your property, right? Rightmove doesn't do that for you. And getting that price absolutely spot on is critical to getting a quick sale at the best price. Rightmove doesn't do that. Number three, Rightmove doesn't offer a marketing service. So the presentation of the property, the photographs, which are crucial, the photography, the presentation, the floor plan, the EPC, the brochure putting together, the writing of the description, all of that is part of the service that your estate agent provides, right? Rightmove doesn't do that. Your estate agent will then qualify the buyers so that they don't waste your time showing tire kickers around your house who've got no intention of buying it. I would say that one of the things good estate agents spend the most time doing is getting to know buyers, talking to them, qualifying them, knowing how serious their move is, knowing how strong the motivation level is. Right? Rightmove doesn't do that. And the really great agents, that's how the great ones can sell your property quickly, because they do have pre-existing relationships with very good buyers who they know are going to be highly likely to be interested in your property. Rightmove doesn't do that. They then do a viewing service. Good agents will always do accompanied viewings, and it's very wise. In my opinion, there are exceptions occasionally, but generally speaking, it's always better to have the agent, if it's a good agent, not if it's an agent that sends someone that doesn't know what they're doing around to do the viewing. But if it's a good agent, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. Thank you, Nick. I'm going to have to call it here, but I can keep going. But the most valuable thing of all, if an agent gets competing buyers, it's the negotiating service that they provide, that Rightmove does not provide, that will get you a premium price for your house when you're selling it. Guys, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Listen, follow me on Twitter. Twitter is where I do most of my sort of day-to-day interaction with people who've got questions and that kind of stuff and topics on the market. Moving_Charlie on Twitter, or just search Moving Home with Charlie on Twitter. Oh, Annie, I know Prime is on demand, but she's starting at 8 whether I like it or not. If you've got so follow me on Twitter for interacting, but if you've got questions you want to ask about your move, then please, Instagram is a good place for those, because I can answer with an audio message, which means I can give you a much more comprehensive answer to your question. I will be publishing that video tomorrow, and I will be trying to get a video recorded about my views on 2023 before New Year. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays. And I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful, enjoyable Christmas. I hope you get to spend it with your loved ones. And thank you, guys. Thank you, all of you, for making Moving Home with Charlie into what it's become and what it's fast growing into. I really appreciate you all, and look forward to engaging with you anywhere and everywhere. And if you are a TikTok follower of mine watching this, my apologies for my neglecting of TikTok recently. I'm going to go watch the TV. Merry Christmas, everyone. Catherine, Annie, Greg, Matthew, Mark, Sam, Gavin, Sean, Alex. Thank you. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. Bye, guys.